Chosen one, you are here because the Spirit has summoned you, drawn you, and aligned you with a divine appointment that could not be missed. Something in you has felt the shift, the trembling in the atmosphere, the quiet pull that whispers, "Get ready." That is because you are standing at the edge of a supernatural breakthrough, a heaven-sent elevation, a divine wealth transfer prepared specifically for the anointed one you are becoming. What is coming is not ordinary increase. It is mantle-level transformation. It is the fulfillment of what was spoken over your life before you were formed. Just as written in Jeremiah 1-5, this is bigger than a financial upgrade. It is a kingdom assignment awakening in real time. Chosen one, you are being positioned for a rise that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. The heavens are opening, the tables are turning, and the favor that once felt distant is now standing at your door. Breathe deeply and steady your spirit. This is your divine hour. This is your appointed season, and what God is about to release over you carries the weight of destiny. Type 444 in the comments if you feel the shift in your spirit right now. Chosen one. Before we go any further, I want you to take a breath, not a shallow breath from your chest, but a deep one that reaches the part of you that has been tired, stretched, and silently waiting for something to break open. Because what you are stepping into now is not entertainment, it is not motivation, it is not just another message. This is a divine appointment written into your timeline long before your struggles ever began. Heaven has waited for the exact moment when your spirit would be mature enough, surrendered enough, and aligned enough to hear this word and recognize it as confirmation. You feel it, do not you? That subtle trembling in your spirit, that inner yes you cannot explain, that sense that something enormous is moving toward you, almost like the air around you has begun to change. That is because it has, and you are not imagining it, you are discerning it. You are picking up the rumbling of a supernatural shift that has already been activated over your life. Chosen one, this is not the season where you beg God for signs. This is the season where God gives you evidence. Evidence that your waiting was not wasted. Evidence that your tears were counted. Evidence that your obedience, even in the dark, was never overlooked. I have lived long enough and walked with God long enough to tell you this with certainty. Breakthrough rarely announces itself with clarity. It is disguised inside pressure, pruning, and preparation. And you have been in all three. I remember being in a season much like the one you are in. A season where doors were not just closed, they were locked, bolted, and sealed. Where every effort felt like it evaporated into nothing. Where people looked at me like I was failing, while heaven was looking at me like I was forming. I did not understand it then. But now I do. God was clearing my hands so he could place something in them. And chosen one, that is exactly what he has been doing with you. Type Amen in the comments if you recognize this in your own story. Everything you lost, everything that slipped through your fingers, everything you watched walk away. It was not rejection, it was redirection. Heaven was editing your story with precision, removing anything that could not rise with you when your mantle activated. Because what is coming to you now is not regular increase. It is supernatural transfer. It is kingdom elevation. It is wealth wrapped in assignment, prosperity wrapped in purpose, favor wrapped in responsibility. The link is in the description and the pinned comment below. Right now, someone is standing in the middle of what you just came through. The loss that felt permanent, the redirection that felt like rejection. They do not yet know that what slipped through their fingers was not taken from them. It was moved ahead of them. What you plant through that link is not going to a channel. It is going toward that person in the moment before they give up on what heaven is actually preserving. Heaven records every act of reaching back at the moment of personal breakthrough. The testimony forming in your life grows stronger the moment it begins to move through your hands toward someone still in the middle of theirs. You were carried through the redirection. Let your seed be part of what carries them through theirs. And hear this with your whole spirit. Heaven does not pour oil over unprepared vessels. The pressure you have endured, the isolation you have walked through, the misunderstandings you have survived, these were not personal attacks. They were prophetic indicators. You were being shaped to carry something bigger than money, more powerful than influence, and far more dangerous to darkness than any status the world could offer. You are being raised as a financial gatekeeper for your bloodline, a mantle carrier entrusted with kingdom resources, a chosen vessel who will break cycles your ancestors could not break and build foundations your descendants will live on. I know that sounds heavy, but look at your life. Does not it all make sense? Type 777 in the comments if you receive this declaration over your life. Now, have not you always been the one who saw deeper, felt stronger, discerned quicker? Have not you always been the one who did not fit in with the crowd, because something in you was wired for more? People around you settled, but something in you refused to. They adapted to survival, but something in you kept pushing toward destiny. Chosen one, that was not personality. That was prophecy. That was the blueprint heaven placed inside you. The same blueprint that kept pulling you forward even when everything around you tried to keep you back. And now, you are entering the season when the blueprint meets the release, when the calling meets the confirmation, when the preparation meets the provision. This is the turning point where you stop praying like someone who is waiting and you start moving like someone who is chosen. You see, when heaven decides it is time, things shift fast. The same God who took Joseph from prison to palace in a single day, the same God who brought David from obscurity to kingship in a single moment, the same God who parted seas and broke chains and delivered captives. That same God is aligning your path right now. And I do not say this lightly. I say this because I have walked through the wilderness where nothing made sense. I felt the shaking of everything familiar falling apart. I have been stretched in seasons that felt like they would break me. But every time, without fail, God used the struggle to set the stage for something extraordinary. Chosen one, God is about to do the same for you. He is positioning you for a rise that will not make sense to anyone who did not walk through your valley. You are being prepared to receive wealth that will not look like luck but legacy, influence that will not look like status but assignment, favor that will not look random but written. Stay with me, because what I am about to reveal next will explain why your spirit has been feeling this shift so intensely. Chosen one, as we move deeper into this revelation, I want you to prepare your spirit, because what comes next is not just information but impartation. You have been sensing an invisible pull, a quiet drawing, a spiritual gravity pulling you out of your old season and into something higher, something holier, something weightier. This is not imagination. This is alignment. Heaven is synchronizing your steps with a divine timetable that has been unfolding beneath the surface of your life for years. You may not have understood the seemingly random events, the sudden endings, the uncomfortable shifts, but those were not interruptions. They were interventions. They were heaven's way of breaking patterns so new paths could form. They were prophetic recalibrations guiding you toward the mantle you were born to carry. And the truth is, chosen one, your life has never been random. Even your pain had precision. Even your heartbreak had purpose. Even your delays had divine sequencing built into them. I have lived long enough to see how God orchestrates growth through the very things we wish we could avoid. Sometimes He hides the blessing behind loss, buries the lesson inside disappointment, or tucks the elevation inside a season of confusion. But every single time when you look back, you realize it was His mercy guiding you, His protection covering you, and His foresight forming you. You were being transformed in silence, shaped in wilderness spaces, pruned in private valleys, because you were never just being prepared for increase. You were being prepared for influence. You were not being trained to receive wealth. You were being trained to steward it with purity, power, humility, and purpose. This is why your journey has been different from people around you. They could settle, but you could not. They could be comfortable, but comfort always irritated your spirit. They could live small, but smallness suffocated you. Something in you has always refused to shrink, refused to dim, refused to settle for the life you were handed. That resistance was not rebellion. It was revelation. It was your spirit recognizing that your destiny required more than your environment offered. And because of that, heaven began forming you for an assignment that is bigger than your background, broader than your upbringing, and stronger than your past. Chosen one. This is why your warfare felt personal. This is why the attacks against you were not casual. This is why the pressure was unexplainable. You were not being crushed. You were being carved. Mantles are not handed to the unshaped. They are placed on those who have survived the kind of refining that produces spiritual authority. And whether you realize it or not, everything you went through has built an infrastructure inside you. Spiritual discipline, emotional resilience, discernment sharper than before, compassion forged in pain, wisdom earned through endurance, and faith that can stand storms silently. This is the inner architecture required for the supernatural wealth transfer that is approaching your life. You cannot carry kingdom-level abundance with a fragile interior. You cannot walk into generational influence with a scattered foundation. You cannot step into divine elevation with broken identity. And that is why heaven invested years forming you, pruning you, stretching you beyond your comfort, stripping away what could not stand at the level you are rising into. Now, if you look closely, you will notice something. You are stronger than you were. You are clearer than before. You are quieter inside because you have learned to hear God in ways you never did. You are lighter in your spirit because the old things no longer pull on you the same way. You are wiser in relationships, slower to attach, quicker to discern, faster to release what does not align. These are signs that God's work in you has matured. You are no longer who you were last year, last season, or even last month. Heaven has evolved you, and that evolution is the evidence that elevation is near. When God transforms the inner vessel, it is because the outer assignment is close. When He increases the strength in your spirit, it is because the weight of your mantle is ready to rest on you. When He sharpens your discernment, it is because you are about to enter spaces where wisdom is non-negotiable. When He quiets the noise around you, it is because you are about to hear instructions that carry destiny-level consequences. Type 333 in the comments if heaven has transformed you in this season, chosen one. This is your confirmation that the divine shift you have been feeling is not emotional, seasonal, or coincidental. It is intentional. It is prophetic. It is heaven ordained. And I want you to understand something that many never grasp. Wealth is not the reward. Alignment is. The money is simply a manifestation of the mission you were born to fulfill. The abundance is evidence that God trusts you to handle what others mishandled. You are stepping into millionaire status, not because you chased money, but because you chased God. Not because you followed trends, but because you followed truth. Not because you wanted applause, but because you wanted assignment. And God honors the heart that seeks Him more than what He gives. You are about to walk into opportunities that feel impossible, favor that feels unfair, and resources that feel supernatural. But none of it will surprise your spirit, because deep down you always knew there was more. And now heaven is finally releasing what your spirit has been sensing all along. Chosen one, as we continue, let this truth settle into your spirit like oil. What is coming to you is not coming through human channels alone. It is coming through spiritual alignment, divine orchestration, and heavenly endorsement. When God decides to elevate a person, He does not start with their surroundings. He starts with their soul. He starts with the inner shift, the subtle awakening, the stirring that tells you something in my life is changing, even if I cannot see it yet. That stir is the earliest sign of a supernatural transfer. Not the money, not the open doors, not the visible opportunities, but the quiet transformation within. And if you have been paying attention, you have already felt it. You have noticed that the things that used to distract you no longer satisfy. These are not random emotional cycles. These are the signs that heaven is editing your life. God is trimming away anything that cannot rise with you. The pruning proves the promotion. You may not have asked for this shift, but you have been chosen for it, and the chosen rarely get to choose the timing of their transformation. Heaven decides it. Heaven ordains it. Heaven activates it. I have lived through seasons where everything felt like it was collapsing, only to realize later that nothing was falling apart. It was all falling into place. There were moments where I thought I was being stripped, and in a way I was. But not for loss, for legacy, not for punishment, for positioning, not for defeat, for divine development. That is exactly what you are experiencing right now. It may feel like you have had to walk away from people you once loved deeply, dreams you once cherished, or environments that once felt familiar. But chosen one, God is not clearing your life to empty you. He is clearing it to fill you with what He intended from the beginning. You are not losing. You are being placed. You are not drifting. You are being directed. You are not breaking. You are being built. When the anointing on your life begins to increase, God begins to remove anything that cannot carry the weight of what He is placing on your shoulders. That is why your old relationships suddenly feel too small. That is why old opportunities feel beneath your spirit. That is why old conversations drain you instead of excite you. You have outgrown what was meant for a previous version of you. Heaven is preparing the upgraded version, the version that can stand in influence without losing identity, the version that can hold wealth without being ruled by it, the version that can walk in authority without becoming prideful. I remember when I first began to sense a shift like this in my own life. I did not have the words for it at the time. All I knew was that the things that used to feel normal suddenly felt wrong. It felt like God was silently removing scaffolding I had leaned on for years. People drifted. Plans fell apart. Paths closed. And yet in the middle of all of it, there was a strange peace, a quiet certainty that said, "You are being prepared." That same peace is visiting you now. You may not fully understand it, but your spirit recognizes it. That recognition is proof that the mantle is drawing near. When heaven prepares to entrust you with kingdom resources, the preparation begins long before the blessing arrives. You have been experiencing divine separation, divine pruning, divine reassignment, all because you are being positioned to steward wealth on a level your family line has never touched. Your spirit has been in training even when your mind did not realize it. The discomfort you felt lately is the stretching required for expansion. You cannot carry abundance with a constricted spirit. You cannot receive elevation with a fearful heart. You cannot accept divine responsibility with old patterns of thinking. God had to release you from certain environments so He could introduce you to atmosphere-shifting spaces, places where your mantle can breathe, grow, and manifest. Chosen one, this next phase of your life is not about survival. You have mastered survival. This next phase is about execution, manifestation, and acceleration. You are stepping into a level of divine timing that will make certain blessings look sudden. Yet, nothing about them will truly be sudden. You have been sowing into this moment through your obedience, your endurance, your sacrifice, and your quiet faith. Heaven has been keeping record of every seed, every time you gave when you barely had enough, every time you encouraged someone while you were hurting, every time you prayed even when your heart was exhausted, every time you stayed pure when temptation surrounded you. Those seeds did not disappear, they matured, they multiplied, and now, chosen one, they have reached their divine harvest season. You are about to reap what only heaven could multiply. Type "I claim my harvest" in the comments right now. Say it with your whole spirit. Do not be surprised when opportunities start appearing that you never applied for. Do not be confused when resources show up faster than you can track them. Do not doubt it when people begin honoring you in ways you have never experienced. This is the fruit of spiritual alignment. This is the reward of obedience. This is the manifestation of what your spirit has known quietly, that you were chosen to carry something heavy, holy, and heavenly. And now the mantle is drawing close. The weight you feel is not pressure. It is glory settling on you. The stirring you sense is not anxiety. It is activation. The shift you discern is not random. It is prophetic timing unfolding around you. Stay with me, chosen one, because what comes next will explain why your anointing has made you such a threat to darkness. Chosen one, as we continue walking through this unveiling, I need you to understand something that very few ever grasp. The greater the mantle, the earlier the warfare starts. Long before your mind understood your calling, hell recognized it. Long before you prayed your first real prayer, darkness detected your assignment. Long before you ever imagined wealth, influence, or impact, the enemy saw the potential resting on your life like a seed waiting for its appointed season. This is why your battles have always felt deeper than the situation itself. This is why you have often felt targeted, misunderstood, or spiritually sensitive in ways others around you did not seem to comprehend. You were not imagining it. You were being shaped by it. The spiritual realm has always known who you were, even when you did not. Every chosen one experiences a childhood or early life marked by strange difficulty. Doors that should have opened but did not. Relationships that should have nurtured you but harmed you. Opportunities that should have elevated you but slipped through your fingers. You used to think it was bad luck, misfortune, or something wrong with you, but it was none of that. You were being protected from becoming attached to anything that was not part of your destiny. Every misalignment was a shield. Every rejection was redirection. Every disappointment was divine intervention. You were not losing. You were being preserved. Because if you had settled into the wrong environment, you would have been shaped into the wrong version of yourself. And the mantle you are about to carry requires you to be fully, undeniably, unapologetically you. The version God designed, not the version others tried to shape. I have walked through seasons where I begged God for answers, clarity, and reasons why certain things could not stay in my life. Only later did I understand that if those things had remained, I would have grown comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of calling. Comfort slows momentum. Comfort blinds discernment. Comfort suffocates destiny. You chosen one were never created for comfort. You were created for consecration, and consecration requires separation. That is why the last season felt like God was quietly pulling things away from your grip. You thought you were being abandoned, but you were actually being anchored. You thought doors were closing randomly, but they were closing strategically. You thought people were leaving because you were not enough, but they were leaving because they could not go where you are going. A mantle is weighty. Glory is heavy, and not everyone is equipped to walk beside someone who carries both. Chosen one, pay close attention to what has shifted in your heart lately. You care less about being understood and more about being aligned. You care less about being liked and more about being led. You care less about temporary comfort and more about long-term purpose. That shift is not accidental. It is prophetic. It is the Spirit preparing you internally for an external elevation. When God is about to move you into wealth, influence, or authority, He first moves you into clarity. Clarity about who you are, clarity about what you carry, clarity about the assignment on your life, and clarity about what can no longer stay with you in your next chapter. I want you to think back to some of the hardest moments you have endured. Those nights when you cried silently, those seasons where you felt unseen, The moments when giving up felt easier than standing strong. You survived those moments not because you were strong, but because you were chosen. There were times you should have lost your mind, but peace arrived out of nowhere. Times when you should have lost hope, but something inside whispered, "Keep going." Times when you were surrounded by darkness, yet your spirit refused to die. That was not resilience alone. That was preservation. Heaven was keeping you. Angels were assigned to you. Destiny was defending you. Even when you did not know your purpose yet, your purpose knew you. And now, after everything you have survived, you are finally stepping into the season where struggle is no longer your teacher. Strategy is. Pain is no longer your compass. Purpose is. Survival is no longer your assignment. Stewardship is. You are entering a chapter where heaven begins to reveal why the journey had to be so intense, why the pruning had to be so deep, and why the warfare had to be so personal. It is because you are carrying something generational. You are breaking cycles your ancestors could not break. You are building foundations your descendants will thank you for. You are walking in blessings that were prayed for by those who came before you, but reserved for you because you were the one willing to surrender, willing to grow, willing to endure, willing to obey. Chosen one, you are not receiving wealth just to elevate your lifestyle. You are receiving wealth to elevate your lineage. You are not being blessed because you asked for more. You are being blessed because heaven can trust you with more. Every test, every season, every silent battle was preparing you to be trustworthy with territory, influence, and supernatural provision. And here is the truth. The mantle you carry will require wisdom, courage, discipline, and unshakable faith. But it will also attract favor, alliances, opportunities, and resources that can only be explained as divine. You are going to look back soon and realize why everything happened the way it did. You will see how every painful chapter was the foundation for a powerful future. You will see how every loss prepared you for leadership. You will see how every delay was divine timing in disguise. And you will finally understand that the mantle was not given to break you. It was given because you were strong enough to carry it. Stay with me, chosen one, because in the next part, we are going to step into what heaven is about to release into your hands, and why your elevation will be assigned to everyone connected to you. Chosen one, as we continue, I want you to lean in with your whole spirit, because what we are stepping into now is the very core of why your journey has been so intense, why your pruning has been so deep, and why your elevation will be so undeniable. You are entering the stage of destiny where obedience becomes the bridge between where you have been and where heaven is taking you. Not talent, not connections, not effort alone. Obedience, and I know that word carries weight, especially for someone like you who is being stretched by instructions you did not always understand, guided by whispers you could not always explain, and pulled into places that did not make sense to your logic. But here is the truth, chosen one. Every breakthrough you are about to walk into is tied to a moment when you obeyed. Even though you were afraid, even though you were unsure, even though the path ahead felt invisible, heaven responds to faith. But it moves through obedience. Obedience is the activation point that unlocks supernatural supply. I have lived through enough wilderness seasons to know that God rarely explains the full picture before he asks you to move. He reveals just enough to stir your spirit, but not enough to satisfy your mind. This is where many people stop. They need understanding more than they desire alignment. But you, chosen one, have moved differently. You have taken steps that people around you questioned. You have made decisions no one applauded. You have walked away from places that once felt comfortable, and you have said yes to God, even when saying yes cost you relationships, security, familiarity, or approval. That kind of obedience does not just please heaven, It provokes heaven. It stirs divine response. It signals your readiness for realms you have never walked in before. Type "I choose obedience" in the comments. Let that be your declaration that you will move even when it does not make sense. And if you look back, you will notice something about your journey. Your life did not shift because of massive leaps. It shifted because of quiet yeses. The yes to heal. The yes to grow. The yes to release what hurt you. The yes to step into rooms you did not feel ready for. The yes to forgive even when it felt unfair. The yes to trust God when your circumstances gave you no reason to trust anyone. These yeses built the spiritual infrastructure that your mantle is now ready to rest on. And it is that obedience, incremental, unseen, uncelebrated, that is about to unlock the level of wealth, influence, and authority heaven has assigned to your name, chosen one. The next level of your life will require a sensitivity to God's voice, unlike anything you have needed before. You are stepping into a chapter where your spirit must move faster than your mind. You may hear instructions that contradict logic or opportunities that challenge comfort. God may tell you to invest in places that do not make sense yet, to connect with people your mind would not choose, or to shift into environments your past would not feel worthy of. You may feel heaven nudging you toward bold actions, launching something new, walking away from something old, restructuring your routines, purifying your motives, or accelerating your pace. And when those moments come, your obedience will be your currency. I know what it feels like to obey when everything inside you wants clarity instead of calling. There were seasons when God asked me to step into rooms I did not feel qualified for, give when I barely had anything left, or stand silent when everything in me wanted to defend myself. At the time, those instructions felt like burdens. But later, I realized they were keys. Keys to doors I did not even know existed. Keys to favor I could not have unlocked any other way. Keys to breakthroughs that did not come from effort, but from alignment. You have reached the point now where God is no longer just developing you. He is positioning you. And positioning requires precision. This is why distractions have been falling away. This is why your appetite for certain conversations, environments, and relationships has shifted. This is why your peace has become your priority. Heaven is narrowing your focus because what is coming requires full attention. You cannot take counsel from people who do not carry your calling. You cannot accept advice from those who do not understand your anointing. You cannot shrink your vision to fit the comfort zones of others. Chosen one, hear this. Your destiny is not a democracy you were not voted in. You were chosen. And because of that, the instructions God gives you will not always make sense to the unassigned. People may question you. They may misunderstand your decisions. They may distance themselves because they cannot interpret the divine urgency you feel. That is okay. Let them misunderstand. Let them question. Let them drift, because your next chapter requires obedience, not approval. Purpose, not popularity. Alignment, not applause. And when you obey boldly, heaven responds loudly. Doors open that no man can shut. Opportunities appear that no strategy could manufacture. Resources flow in ways that feel supernatural. People are drawn to bless you without even understanding why. That is the power of obedience. It magnetizes favor. It multiplies provision. Where one decision will unlock generational wealth and generational healing at the same time. Stay with me, because in the next part we will step into the supernatural transfer that is already forming around you and the signs that your mantle is activating, chosen one. As we move into this next dimension of the message, I want you to really tune your spirit, because what we are stepping into now is the heart of the supernatural transfer that has been forming around your life long before you ever had language for it. You are not simply walking into a blessing. You are stepping into a divine exchange, a spiritual transaction that heaven has been preparing while the earth has been shaking around you. And make no mistake, this is a heaven-initiated reversal, a God-orchestrated elevation, a prophetic fulfillment of things your spirit knew before your mind ever caught up. You have probably noticed that your life has been going through unusual transitions, doors closing abruptly, people drifting suddenly, opportunities shifting unexpectedly. At first, these changes may have felt like loss or instability, but now you are beginning to sense something deeper. Something in your spirit has whispered, "This is not ending, it is rearranging." And that whisper was right, because before God releases increase, He always reorganizes environments. Before He transfers wealth, He always repositions the vessel. Before He reveals destiny, He always removes distractions. You have not been losing, you have been being lifted. And heaven has been preparing you for a transfer you could not receive until certain things, certain habits, and certain people were removed from your orbit. Chosen one. Wealth in the kingdom is not just about currency. It is the manifestation of spiritual authority. It is the material proof of a mantle. When God begins transferring resources into your hands, it is because He trusts the purity of your stewardship. Wealth responds to order. Increase responds to alignment. Abundance responds to faithfulness. And whether you realize it or not, you have passed tests that heaven required long before the blessing could be released. There were moments when you could have retaliated, but you stayed silent. Moments when you could have given up, but you persevered. Moments when you could have chosen bitterness, but you chose healing instead. These decisions were not accidental. They were spiritual qualifications. I have walked through seasons where it felt like everything was thinning out, my circle, my confidence, my resources. But later I realized that thin places are where heaven breaks through. Thin seasons are where clarity sharpens. Thin moments are where you hear God the clearest, because all the noise around you has been stripped away. And looking back, those seasons were never signs of God abandoning me. They were signs of God preparing me to hold more, preparing me to carry better, preparing me to walk in assignments I once would have been too distracted, too insecure, or too immature to handle. And chosen one, heaven has watched you choose growth over comfort. Heaven has watched you surrender what others cling to, and now the transfer is activating. You might even begin to notice prophetic indicators, unexpected favor, sudden opportunities, random breakthroughs, unusual clarity, spiritual dreams, divine connections, or inner stirrings you cannot explain. These are not random sparks, they are signals. Signals that you are moving into a chapter where heaven is no longer hinting. It is confirming, chosen one. There is a reason the enemy fought your finances harder than anything else in your life. He knew your wealth was not for vanity, it was for victory. He knew your prosperity was not for luxury, it was for legacy. He knew your increase was not for ego, it was for impact. You were never meant to be someone who simply accumulates. You were meant to be someone who allocates, someone who builds, someone who funds, someone who lifts, someone who restores. This is why your life has carried weight even when your bank account did not. The mantle came first. The money comes now. That is how heaven works. Type 1111 in the comments. The mantle is real, the money is coming, through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether that is a coffee, a seed, or simply becoming a part of this community, what you release in this moment carries a specific spiritual weight that a seed released at any ordinary moment does not. Scripture is precise about this. Scripture, the financial transfer heaven just declared over you, responds to the first act of release from the vessel that has received the declaration. This is not a transaction. This is activation. What you sow from this place does not go out and disappear. It goes out and returns in the form of the very transfer that was just spoken over your name. And I want you to reflect on something. Every time you survived a financial attack, your discernment sharpened. Every time you lacked resources, your creativity multiplied. Every time you faced instability, your faith deepened. These were not failures. These were trainings. Trainings for the level of wealth you are about to walk in. Trainings that many people skip, which is why they never sustain the blessing they receive. But your training was thorough. Your refinement was intentional. Your pruning was purposeful. And the result is that you can now handle what you once could only dream of. Chosen one, what is approaching your life is a supernatural convergence, a moment where preparation meets promise, where obedience meets opportunity, where faith meets fulfillment. And when this transfer begins to unfold, you will not need to force it. You will not need to chase it. You will not need to prove yourself worthy of it. It will find you because you have become the vessel heaven designed you to be. Stay with me, because in the next part we are going to step into the signs that the transfer is already unfolding around you and the spiritual posture required to sustain this level of blessing, chosen one. As we move into this next unfolding, I want you to prepare yourself for revelation, because what we are stepping into now is not theory, not symbolism, and not metaphor. It is evidence, the signs, the markers, the spiritual indications that the supernatural transfer has already begun swirling around your life. Many people pray for breakthrough, yet miss the signals announcing its arrival. But you, anointed one, are not like them. Your spirit is awake. Your discernment has matured. You can feel when heaven is moving, even when the natural world has not caught up yet. And right now, the spiritual temperature around your life is undeniable. Something has shifted. Something has accelerated. Something has aligned. And whether you can name it or not, your spirit recognizes the change. One of the first signs that a supernatural transfer is on the way is the feeling that your old season no longer fits. You begin to sense a holy discomfort with things that once felt normal. You do not enjoy old conversations. You do not feel at home in old spaces. You do not crave old habits. Even the things that once brought you comfort now feel too small for the person you are becoming. That discomfort is divine. It is heaven telling you that expansion is near. It is the same stirring that happens to an eagle before it leaves the nest. The nest served you, but you cannot stay there anymore. Your wings are demanding more. Your calling is calling for more. And even though nothing external has changed yet, everything inside you is shifting. That shift is the first sign. Another sign is the sudden increase in spiritual clarity. Your dreams become more vivid. Your thoughts become more focused. Your intuition becomes sharper. You start making decisions with unusual confidence, not because you understand everything, but because something inside of you knows you are being guided. This is heaven speaking. This is the Holy Spirit aligning you. This is clarity that does not come from logic, but from divine proximity. And when clarity increases, it means breakthrough is close. Heaven never reveals direction for no reason. When God begins sharpening your inner voice, it is because He is about to release outer blessings. Chosen one. Another sign is the thinning of your circle. People who once walked with you suddenly drift. People who once understood you now seem confused by you. People who once supported you now feel distant, silent, or strangely irritated by your growth. This is not betrayal, it is separation. Before elevation, God separates. Before blessing, He removes burdens. Before transfer, He exposes attachments. I have lived through this enough times to know that when people fall away without explanation, it is because their assignment in your life has been completed. They may not know it. You may not know it, but heaven does. And heaven is clearing your path so nothing blocks what is coming next. Another sign is unusual spiritual warfare. Not the kind that destroys you, but the kind that reveals you have become a threat. When you carry a mantle, darkness notices. And when your mantle begins to activate, darkness reacts. But here is the truth. You must hold. The intensity of the attack is the proof of the magnitude of the anointing. You are too close now for the enemy to remain silent. You are too aligned now for him to ignore you. But notice something. The attacks are not breaking you. They are bouncing off you. You are not collapsing under pressure the way you once did. You are not losing your mind the way you used to. You are not spiraling into fear the way the old version of you might have. That resilience you feel is supernatural. That strength you sense is evidence that heaven is reinforcing you. Another sign is the sudden acceleration of small blessings, unexpected money, random opportunities, conversations that shift your perspective, people recommending you, doors opening without effort. These are the early waves of the transfer. Heaven always sends a preview before the full outpouring. These small blessings are not small at all. They are prophetic indicators. They are heaven's way of saying, get ready. This is only the beginning. Chosen one, pay attention to what is happening inside you as well. You are more disciplined than before. You are craving order. You are craving peace. You are craving growth. The version of you right now is not the same one that survived the last season. This version of you is prepared to handle increase. This version of you is positioned to sustain wealth. This version of you is aligned with purpose. And this inner transformation is the greatest sign of all. Heaven never releases abundance into chaos. God never pours new oil into old wineskins. The order rising inside you is the confirmation that the blessing can finally rest. And perhaps the strongest sign is this. Something in your spirit has been whispering. It is time. You do not know how you know. You just know. That knowing is the voice of destiny. When heaven prepares a transfer, the spirit senses it before the natural world reflects it. And your spirit is already standing at the doorway of what is coming. Stay close, chosen one, because in the next part, we will step into how to posture yourself to receive this transfer without delay, detour, or disruption. Chosen one. As we continue, I want you to breathe into this moment, because what we are entering now is one of the most sacred realms of your elevation, the posture of receiving. Many people pray for breakthrough, cry for breakthrough, even beg for breakthrough. Yet few ever prepare themselves internally to receive the very thing they are asking for. But you are not just anyone. You are a vessel heaven has been shaping. And because you are chosen, your receiving requires a spiritual, emotional, and mental alignment that matches the magnitude of what is being released. This is the part of the journey where preparation becomes posture and posture becomes power. Receiving is not passive. Receiving is not simply waiting. Receiving is not sitting still, hoping life will change on its own. Receiving is an active sacred readiness that begins inside before it manifests outside. It is a posture of expectation, a posture of obedience, a posture of humility, and a posture of spiritual maturity. And chosen one, everything in your life, up until this point, has been training you for this posture. Your discipline has been sharpening. Your discernment has been rising. Your sensitivity, you may not have realized it, but heaven has been conditioning you to hold more without breaking, to rise higher without losing yourself, and to stand stronger without collapsing under the weight of the blessing. The link is in the pinned comment below. Right now, your spirit is in the posture heaven just described, that active, sacred readiness. You can feel it, that quiet internal alignment, that sense of being positioned rather than just waiting. The enemy will tell you to hold everything until the blessing arrives first. But that is not the posture of receiving. That is the posture of fear dressed as wisdom. A seed planted by someone whose spirit is in active sacred readiness is not planted from lack. And the God who just described your readiness, the one who said receiving begins inside before it manifests outside, responds to the seed that rises from that aligned interior. Bring with you the specific provision you have been waiting for, the area of your life where the transfer has been slowest. Plant from this posture and watch the same spiritual law that governs your elevation govern what returns to you through that seed. Receiving begins with clarity. You must know who you are before you can properly receive what is yours. You have spent years growing into the truth of your identity, learning that you are not ordinary, not forgotten, not overlooked. You are appointed, anointed, and assigned. This clarity matters because if you do not know you are chosen, you will mishandle what is meant for the chosen. There was a time, maybe even recently, when you would have second-guessed your worth, doubted your ability, or questioned whether the promise was really for you. But something has shifted. You no longer beg for what heaven already wrote into your destiny. You cannot hold what is coming if your hands are still gripping what God already told you to let go of. Some relationships, attachments, mindsets, and habits were never meant to cross over into your next chapter. This is why heaven orchestrated separation, not to hurt you, but to free you. Some things draining you emotionally had to be removed because they would have corrupted your elevation. Some voices had to go silent so you could finally hear God clearly. Some paths had to close so the right one could open. Release is not loss. It is alignment. And your willingness to release is proof you are ready to receive. Another part of receiving is capacity. Heaven is not just giving you wealth. It is giving you responsibility, influence, strategy, vision, and to carry all of that, your soul must be ready. Capacity is built through endurance and chosen one. You have endured things that would have broken others. You have survived storms that should have crushed you. You have risen from situations that should have destroyed you. Capacity is not measured by what you gain. It is measured by what you can withstand. And you, anointed one, have proven your capacity through your resilience. Receiving requires spiritual order. Wealth cannot settle in a chaotic spirit. Favor cannot rest on a restless heart. Increase cannot sit where anxiety governs. God has been reordering your inner world, quieting your fears, strengthening your confidence, anchoring your emotions. You have noticed you are not as easily shaken as you once were. You do not spiral under pressure. You do not panic when life shifts. You do not fall apart when things do not go your way. This steadiness is not accidental. It is spiritual infrastructure. It is the foundation that will sustain the blessing that is coming. Receiving also demands vision. You must see beyond your current circumstances. You must picture the life heaven is pulling you into. You must imagine the calling unfolding, the mantle activating, the wealth flowing, the purpose expanding. Vision is not fantasy. Vision is faith with direction, and lately, your visions have been clearer. Ideas come to you with unusual ease. Strategies drop into your mind without warning. You suddenly feel drawn to plan, prepare, restructure, or reimagine your future. That is not random. That is revelation. Another essential part of receiving is gratitude. Gratitude is what amplifies and multiplies blessing. You have learned to thank God even when you did not understand the season. You have learned to worship even when life felt heavy. You have learned to appreciate the small blessings knowing they were the early signs of the greater blessing coming. Gratitude keeps your heart pure. Gratitude keeps your spirit light. Gratitude keeps you connected to the source rather than the supply. And finally, receiving requires stillness, not inactivity, but spiritual stillness. The kind of inner quiet that allows you to hear God's whisper over the noise of doubt. The kind of quiet that keeps you grounded when opportunities begin arriving all at once. The kind of quiet that ensures you do not sabotage what you have prayed for. Stillness is strength. Stillness is clarity. Stillness is spiritual positioning. Chosen one, everything in your life has been shifting you toward this posture of receiving, clarity, release, capacity, order, vision, gratitude, stillness. You are not being asked to try harder. You are being invited to align deeper, and you are ready. Truly ready, chosen one. As we step into this next deepening of the message, I want you to let your entire being become aware of something sacred. You are not preparing for an ordinary blessing. You are preparing for a supernatural convergence. A moment where everything you have survived, everything you have learned, and everything heaven has spoken over your life meets you in one divinely orchestrated season. What you are walking into is not incremental increase. It is not slow progress. It is not gradual improvement. It is acceleration. Pure, undeniable, God-breathed acceleration, and your spirit can feel it even if your circumstances have not caught up yet. That internal anticipation, that quiet pressure in your chest, that strange peace mixed with holy restlessness. These are the signals that heaven is aligning events around you in ways you cannot yet see. Chosen one, supernatural acceleration always begins in the unseen. Before anything moves around you, something shifts within you. A new confidence begins to rise. Not arrogance, but an anchored certainty that says, I was made for more than this. Your prayers become bolder. Your decisions become clearer. Your standards rise without apology. You realize that you are no longer available for the things that drained you in past seasons. You no longer negotiate your worth, your peace, or your purpose. These are not personality changes. These are prophetic transitions. Heaven is strengthening your identity because you cannot walk in acceleration with a fragile sense of self. You must know who you are, or the blessing will overwhelm you instead of empower you, and you, chosen one, are coming into that knowing. There is also a noticeable shift in how you respond to adversity. Where you once reacted emotionally, you now respond spiritually. Where you once panicked, you now pause. Where you once feared the unknown, you now discern it. This transformation did not happen overnight. It was cultivated in the darkness, shaped through disappointment, refined through waiting, and strengthened through prayer. And this emotional and spiritual maturity is one of the most powerful signs that acceleration is near. God does not elevate someone whose emotions cannot sustain the elevation. He strengthens your spirit first, your life second. The fact that you are calmer, wiser, steadier, and more grounded than you used to be is proof that the old version of you has been completed. The new version is being commissioned. Chosen one, another sign that acceleration is unfolding is the sudden clarity of purpose. Certain passions that once flickered faintly within you now burn brighter. Ideas visit you at unusual times. Creative bursts come without warning. You begin to dream again. Real dreams, big dreams, purposeful dreams. You feel drawn to pursue things that once intimidated you. You no longer shrink from greatness. You lean toward it. That magnetism is the spirit pulling you into alignment with your assignment. Acceleration requires purpose, and heaven is making sure your purpose is not lost beneath old fears or outdated narratives. You may also notice that divine connections begin appearing unexpectedly. People who speak life into your spirit. People who see your potential without you having to explain it. People who show up with opportunities you did not ask for. People who validate what heaven has already whispered to you. These connections are not random. They are kingdom alignments. Supernatural acceleration always involves people, new voices, new mentors, new partners, new helpers. God uses people to open doors that effort alone never could. Pay attention to these connections. Pay attention to how your spirit responds to them. Heaven is sending allies. Acceleration also reveals itself through ending cycles. Cycles you have been trapped in for years. Suddenly, the patterns break. The struggle stops. The resistance lifts. What once required immense effort begins to shift easily. Old temptations lose their grip. Old wounds lose their sting. Old distractions lose their appeal. This is not you trying harder. This is grace. This is deliverance. This is God removing the weight of old cycles so you can run freely into the new season. You are not just coming out, you are being released. And chosen one, perhaps the most profound sign of acceleration, is the internal readiness you feel. You know you are not perfect yet. You also know you are prepared. You know there is still more to learn yet. You also know you have been trained by seasons no classroom could ever replicate. You know you may not have all the answers yet. You feel the strength of the one who does. That readiness is not psychological. It is spiritual. Heaven has declared it is time, and your spirit has responded. Even if you do not know the details, you know the direction. Even if you do not see the full path, you know the next step. And in this alignment, you begin to notice that things that once felt distant now feel close. Prayers that once felt delayed now feel active. Dreams that once felt impossible now feel attainable. Doors that once felt sealed now feel unlocked. Something in your atmosphere has changed. Something in your heart has shifted. Something in your destiny has awakened. That awakening is not a feeling. It is a signal, a spiritual announcement that acceleration has begun. Chosen one, the supernatural transfer is not coming. It has already started moving toward you. The convergence has been, the alignment is underway. Heaven has initiated what earth cannot delay, and you are walking into it with the strength, clarity, and readiness that only a chosen vessel could carry. Chosen one. As we continue forward, I want you to understand the depth of what heaven is doing within you in this exact moment of your journey. You are not merely advancing. You are being accelerated, expanded, and elevated into a realm where your spiritual authority, your divine identity, and your kingdom assignment converge into one powerful force. This next unfolding is not just about movement. It is about metamorphosis. You are being transformed into the version of yourself that was written in heaven before you were ever conceived on earth. Every layer of doubt, fear, hesitation, and limitation is being peeled away, not by your effort alone, but by divine intervention that is shaping your spirit for extraordinary capacity. Chosen one. One of the most critical elements of stepping into your supernatural transfer is learning how to sustain what heaven is giving you. Receiving is one thing. Sustaining is another. Many are blessed temporarily because they never learned the posture required to remain in abundance, influence, or elevation. But you are different. Your training has been deeper. Your refinement has been heavier. Your spiritual stretching has been more intense, not because God was punishing you, but because He was forming you into a vessel that can hold blessing without breaking, carry influence without corruption, and maintain wealth without losing identity. The weight you feel in your spirit is not the weight of pressure. It is the weight of glory settling on you. And to sustain the blessing, your inner world must be prepared for expansion. Expansion in purpose. Expansion in vision. Expansion in identity. You cannot receive on $1 million level while thinking on a survival level. You cannot walk in generational impact with a temporary mindset. You cannot steward divine wealth with emotional instability. Heaven has been working on your mindset, chosen one, reshaping the way you see yourself, your calling, your resources, and your future. You have noticed that your thoughts have become more disciplined, your internal narrative more empowering, your perspective more elevated. This is not random growth. This is divine mental restructuring. Another layer of sustaining your transfer is learning to move in silence. Acceleration requires discretion. When God begins to elevate you, not everyone around you will celebrate you. Some will misunderstand, some will envy, and some will misinterpret your rise. That is why you have been feeling heaven pulling you inward, giving you a quieter spirit, reducing your desire to explain yourself, and increasing your need for privacy. This is protection, and your spirit is maturing enough to understand that not everything heaven reveals to you should be shared with those who cannot discern it. Chosen one, sustaining your transfer also requires spiritual consistency. Your prayer life is no longer optional. It is essential. You can feel this shift already. You feel drawn to moments of stillness. You feel pulled toward deeper worship. You sense the need to spend more time listening than talking. These are divine signals that heaven is solidifying your spiritual foundation. So the wealth you receive remains anchored in purpose. A mantle without spiritual grounding becomes a burden, but a mantle grounded in God becomes a weapon. There is also a new level of emotional maturity rising within you. You are not as easily shaken. You are not triggered by old patterns. You are not reactive the way you once were. Why? Because heaven has strengthened your emotional infrastructure. Wealth requires emotional stability. Influence requires emotional wisdom. Leadership requires emotional intelligence. You have been learning these things not through theory, but through experience. Real heartbreaks, real disappointments, real betrayals, real challenges. These moments were not meant to destroy you. They were meant to deepen you. And now you stand more whole, more grounded, and more mature than ever before. Another key to sustaining your supernatural transfer is developing unwavering stewardship. You are being called to manage what heaven places in your hands with excellence, integrity, and intention. This means planning. This means structure. This means discernment. This means strategy. You are being prepared to handle wealth not emotionally but spiritually. Not fearfully but confidently, not recklessly but purposefully. And your recent desires for order, cleaning your environment, organizing your finances, restructuring your habits, are signs that heaven is preparing you to manage more. Chosen one, sustaining the blessing also requires learning to differentiate between what is urgent and what is important. Not every demand deserves your attention. Not every voice deserves your time. Not every opportunity deserves your yes. God is elevating your discernment so you do not sabotage your own blessing by scattering your energy too thin. The blessing must be protected by wise decisions, not overwhelmed by unnecessary distractions. And finally, sustaining your supernatural transfer requires acknowledging that your life is no longer just your own. You are carrying a mantle that affects generations. You are holding a blessing that will break patterns. You are stepping into influence that will shift atmospheres. And you are standing in a season where your obedience, your discipline, your faith, and your maturity will not just bless you. They will bless everyone connected to your name, chosen one. As we enter this next deepening of the message, I want you to recognize something extraordinary taking shape around you. Heaven is not only preparing you to receive and sustain your supernatural transfer, but it is positioning you to become a conduit for blessing, breakthrough, and transformation in the lives of others. Your elevation is not isolation. Your wealth is not self-focused. Your mantle is not personal. Everything being placed on your life carries generational purpose, spiritual responsibility, and kingdom impact. You are being raised not just as a receiver, but as a reformer. Someone heaven trusts to shift environments, shift bloodlines, and shift atmospheres wherever you go. And that chosen one is one of the clearest signs that your mantle is fully awakening. There is a distinct moment in every chosen vessel's journey when they realize they are no longer the one waiting for help. They are becoming the one others look toward for guidance. You felt this shift, have not you? People have started coming to you for advice, for direction, for comfort, for clarity. You may not feel like you have everything figured out, yet somehow your words carry weight, your presence carries peace, your perspective carries wisdom. That is because your spirit is ascending into a higher dimension of responsibility. Heaven is allowing others to recognize the anointing on your life even before you fully accept it yourself. This is not coincidence. This is calling. And with this calling comes expansion. Your influence is stretching into new areas. Your insight is deepening in ways you did not train for. Your discernment is sharpening so quickly, it feels supernatural. You notice red flags faster. You sense opportunities more clearly. You see through deception more easily. You recognize divine alignment almost instantly. These upgrades are not random. They are the spiritual tools required to carry the level of impact your mantle demands. Chosen one. Another sign of this growing mantle is the way you have begun to experience compassion differently. Not the kind of compassion that drains you, but the kind that empowers you. The kind that makes you want to lift others without losing yourself. The kind that lets you love without becoming entangled, support without becoming burdened, give without becoming empty. This is healed compassion, purposeful compassion, and it is one of the highest forms of spiritual maturity. Heaven is shaping you into someone who can hold space for others without losing your sense of self. Someone who can guide without controlling. Someone who can support without sacrificing your assignment. This is the mark of a leader heaven can trust. You have also begun to notice doors opening that your name never knocked on. Rooms you never applied to enter. Conversations that include you without your request. People who suddenly recognize your value, your integrity, your potential. These moments are not luck. They are confirmation. Heaven is expanding your territory, and the earth is responding to that expansion. Influence in the kingdom does not come from chasing platforms. It comes from carrying presence, and you chosen one carry presence. You carry oil. You carry authority. And people feel it even when you do not say a word. Another key sign that heaven is enlarging your mantle is the new level of peace you have been experiencing. Peace that makes no logical sense. Peace that sits with you even when you do not know the full plan. Peace that whispers, you are not behind. You are being aligned. This peace is not emotional. It is spiritual. It is the peace that comes when your spirit finally catches up to the timing of heaven. It is the peace of someone who knows that what is meant for them cannot be taken, delayed, or denied. And this peace is a crown, a sign that you are walking under heaven's covering. Your desires are also changing, not superficial desires, but core desires. You crave purpose more than attention, impact more than validation, alignment more than applause, excellence more than ease, depth more than distraction. These desires are proof that heaven has matured your appetite. You no longer hunger for what feeds the old you. You hunger for what fuels the transformed you. This is spiritual maturity at its highest level. And perhaps the most profound sign of your mantle's expansion is the way you have begun to trust God differently. Not just believe in Him, but trust Him with details you once feared. Trust Him with timing you once questioned. Trust Him with transitions you once resisted. This trust is the foundation of everything you are stepping into. Trust is what holds the blessing in place. Trust is what keeps your spirit anchored. Trust is what allows you to move boldly, even when you cannot see the next step. Chosen one, everything in your life is aligning with divine precision. You are walking toward a level of destiny that will not only elevate you, but elevate everyone connected to your obedience, chosen one. As we move into this final unfolding of the message, I want you to feel the gravity of the moment you are standing in. You are not approaching your destiny, you are stepping into it. Everything that once felt delayed is now aligning. Everything that once felt confusing is now making sense. Everything that once felt heavy is now shifting into divine purpose. You have crossed a threshold in the spirit where nothing in your past has the authority to define you, limit you, or restrain you anymore. You are standing in a season where heaven is not only opening doors, but building rooms for you, preparing spaces that no human hand can shut, crafting opportunities that cannot be interfered with, and orchestrating divine movements that only a chosen vessel could carry. Chosen one. This final phase of your elevation is marked by divine boldness. A boldness heaven places inside those who are ready. Not perfect, not flawless, but ready. You have reached the point where your spirit refuses to shrink back into the versions of you that were created by fear, trauma, or survival. You are no longer operating from wounds. You are operating from wisdom. You are no longer reacting to the world around you. You are responding to the voice within you. And this internal shift is the proof that heaven has completed a work in you, that no man, no storm, no season, and no enemy can undo. There is a reason your confidence has changed. It is no longer loud. It is secure. It is no longer fragile. It is anchored. It is no longer dependent on applause. It is rooted in assignment. You have discovered that identity is not shaped by circumstances, but by calling. You have learned that favor is not earned. It is inherited. You have realized that wealth is not about accumulation, it is about stewardship. These revelations are not intellectual. They are spiritual. They mark the moment when a person stops chasing destiny and begins walking in it. And chosen one, destiny requires boundaries. You have learned to protect your peace, your energy, your time, and your anointing. You no longer explain yourself to people who lack the spiritual capacity to understand you. You no longer chase validation from those who were never called to walk your path. You no longer shrink for the comfort of others. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is you finally honoring the calling heaven placed on your life. In this season, you will notice that your intuition, your spiritual knowing, has become almost prophetic. You sense things before they happen, you discern shifts before they are visible, and you feel when God is guiding you into or away from something. This is heaven's whisper. This is spiritual maturity manifesting. This is your mental speaking. And the more you obey these divine nudges, the more your path will unfold with clarity and supernatural ease. Another mark of this final elevation is your renewed strength. Not the strength that comes from striving, but the strength that comes from surrender. The strength that comes when you stop fighting battles God never assigned you. The strength that comes when you finally trust that what is meant for you cannot be taken. You earn too much and grown too much to ever return to the person. Strength is now your natural posture. And chosen one, the wealth that is coming to you is not merely financial. It is spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, relational wealth, and divine wisdom. But yes, the financial blessing will manifest. Heaven is entrusting you with resources because you have proven your heart. You have shown integrity in lack, generosity in limitation, and faithfulness in difficulty. You are now stepping into the blessing that was always written for you. You are the generational shift. You are the pattern breaker. You are the lineage lifter. You are the one heaven anointed to carry what those before you could not. And because of that, your name will be tied to restoration, elevation, and transformation for decades to come. Chosen one, walk forward with confidence. Walk forward with clarity. Walk forward with reverence. What you are stepping into is holy. What you are carrying is powerful. What you are becoming is unstoppable. The generational shift does not begin when the money arrives. It begins with the first movement of the one who was just called to carry it. The link is in the pinned comment below. What you release through it is not separate from the declaration you just received. A lineage lifter who plants at the moment of their own confirmation is not giving from surplus. They are giving from mandate. And the God who just called you a pattern breaker, a lineage lifter, the one entrusted to carry what those before you could not, responds to the first act of the one who takes that calling seriously enough to move immediately. Bring with you the specific cycle you are believing God to break. Plant from the weight of that, not from what you have, but from who you just received confirmation that you are. The mantle that was just placed on you does not wait for circumstances to align, it moves. And so do you, chosen one. As you leave this message, let your spirit rest in the truth that you are standing in your Kairos moment. The supernatural transfer has already begun. The mantle is settling on your life, and heaven has aligned this exact season for your rise. You are not stepping into possibility, you are stepping into prophecy. Walk forward with a steady heart, a clear mind, and a soul anchored in obedience. What is coming will not overwhelm you. It will reveal you. Stay faithful, stay aligned, and stay expectant, for the overflow has already been released in your direction. If this word spoke to your spirit, share it, comment below, or subscribe so more chosen ones can rise with you. Gently press the like if heaven moved through this message. Go in favor, go in strength, and go in divine confidence. Your mantle is active, your path is open, and your breakthrough is already unfolding.